I would like to thank Under Secretary General Rosemary DiCarlo for her briefing and for her contribution to the discussion. And I welcome His Excellency Marcin Bosacki, the Secretary of State of Poland, in the chamber. Mr. President, Slovenia supported the call for today's meeting. This reflects our firm solidarity with Poland and our full support for its security, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. We strongly condemn the escalation of Russian attacks against Ukraine. What we are witnessing is not only continued brutality within Ukraine, but also a new and dangerous era of intimidation directed at Ukraine's neighbors. Since 2022, we have seen repeated violations of the sovereign airspace of European states, but never on such a scale. Slovenia strongly condemns this incursion into Polish airspace. It is unacceptable. Colleagues, let us be clear, such mistakes do not happen. They are no incidents. They are aggressive and dangerous acts, as it is hard to imagine that so many drones flew so deep over Polish territory unintentionally. I'm sure all colleagues sitting around this table understand the unease and concern that arises in the region when a country already notorious as a serious violator of the UN Charter acts in such way. It is very hard not to look at this incident as yet another tactic of terror. Colleagues, Europe is deeply alarmed. It is even harder to comprehend Russian reckless behavior if we take into account the diplomatic efforts of the United States to end the war in Ukraine. This escalation comes at a moment when there had been hopes for renewed prospects for peace. Instead of talks and diplomacy, the post-Anchorage period has become synonymous with massive strikes. We are witnessing attacks on civilians and infrastructure, including diplomatic premises and government buildings, at scales not seen since the start of the war. Colleagues, such behavior is a direct threat not only to the security of the EU citizens, but also regional stability and international peace. Path down the road Russia is choosing today leads in a downward spiral of escalation, war, and destruction. Slovenia therefore once again calls on the Russian Federation to cease this irresponsible behavior, commit to an immediate ceasefire, and to start serious and meaningful peace negotiations. We firmly stand with Poland, Ukraine, or any other member of this organization who needs to be protected against unlawful, charter-trampling actions of members who feel that their might give them right and impunity. Thank you.
The representative of Slovenia for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Denmark.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Denmark fully supports Poland in calling for this emergency meeting in response to the serious violations of its airspace by drones launched from Russian and Belarus territories. We thank the Presidency for heeding this call so swiftly, and we thank Under-Secretary General DiCarlo for her informative briefing. I also wish to welcome to this meeting His Excellency the State Secretary of Poland. Mr. President, Denmark condemns this violation of Polish sovereignty and territorial integrity. This is a dangerous and reckless escalation that is completely unacceptable and deeply concerning. Our resolve to stand by our allies remains firm. Together with our EU partners and NATO allies, we will continue to offer support to Poland in protecting its borders. Let there be no doubt, Denmark fully supports the territorial integrity of all countries in line with the UN Charter. Mr. President, the violation of Polish airspace by Russian drones has taken place in the midst of relentless Russian drone attacks in Ukraine. Russian drones are being used to terrorize the people of Ukraine. They're responsible for countless casualties in cities and on the front line, and, increasingly, bringing death, destruction, and misery to the civilian population of Ukraine. The Russian military-industrial complex has been scaled up dramatically to produce drones in huge quantities. They're becoming a serious threat not only to Ukraine, but to all countries bordering Russia. The incursions into Poland's airspace took place less than a day after a massive air attack in Ukraine, where at least 24 elderly civilians were killed while simply waiting outside to collect their monthly pension. It took place 3 days after the single largest Russian aerial attacks on Ukraine's cities during the war, where 4 civilians were killed and 44 wounded, including many children. And it took place 1 week after the drone and missile blitz in Kyiv, killing 25, including 4 children. These never-ending violations of international law, these aggressions, will only reinforce our determination to continue supporting Ukraine with what it needs to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity, to exercise its inherent right to self-defense in the face of Russia's unprovoked and illegal full-scale invasion. We've said it many times. There is a simple alternative, a simple solution. Just one man in the Kremlin could decide to stop his armed forces attacking Ukraine. Unfortunately, Russia's leader appears to have chosen to prolong this war of conquest and to continue down the path of death, destruction, and misery. Mr. President, what we have witnessed over the skies over Poland is a reminder that Russia's drone surge is not by any means restricted to the war of aggression in Ukraine. And this violation of Polish airspace is not only the most recent Russian violation of the airspace of its neighbors. It is also a reminder that Russia's war of aggression poses an inherent threat to international peace and stability. It undermines the fundamentals of international law that we all benefit from. This is why we urge Russia to change its course, to opt for peace, to respect the territorial integrity of its neighbors. Until Russia changes course, we'll continue to increase the costs for Russia and its enablers. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Denmark for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of Greece.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I thank the Republic of Korea for convening the emergency meeting. At the outset, I would like to thank USG DiCarlo for her insightful briefing, and I welcome the participation of the Secretary of State of Poland. Mr. President, the latest and most serious violation of the airspace of Poland, an EU and NATO member, constitutes a reckless act and is part of a serious escalation which threatens the security of citizens, regional stability, and international peace. It shows that Russia is shifting away from the path to peace, choosing instead the road to provocation. In view of the latest development, allow me to make a few points. First, Greece strongly condemns the incursion of the Polish airspace by at least 19 Russian drones and expresses its relief that no human lives were lost. We stand in full solidarity with the government and the people of Poland, and we hope that such incidents shall not be repeated. We emphatically condemn any violation of internationally recognized borders, be it land, air, or sea border, as an act that is blatantly against international law and the UN Charter. We also call on Russia to cease these unlawful acts immediately and respect its obligations under international law. Second, this new escalation is a direct result of Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. At a time when decisive peace efforts by the United States and President Trump offer us a glimmer of hope, Russia intensifies its attacks against Ukraine. Lastly, aggression breeds more aggression. War will lead to more war. The spillover effect of violence, which has now affected Poland, has the potential to spiral out of control and needs to stop immediately. I reiterate my country's firm conviction that an immediate ceasefire is needed. as necessary first step towards a permanent, comprehensive, just, and lasting peace settlement, based on the principles of sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of states. Mr. President, colleagues, Russia's war on Ukraine is not only a European problem, despite the latest deplorable incursion into Polish space. It can seriously undermine global stability and security, drawing in actors from other regions. Any future peace agreement should therefore be founded on credible and robust security guarantees, which will effectively deter any recurrence of armed aggression. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Greece for the statement. I now give the floor to the representative of France.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, je remercie tout d'abord Madame la secrétaire générale adjointe aux affaires politiques, Madame Rosemary Di Carlo, pour son exposé. Je salue la présence de son Excellence, Monsieur le secrétaire d'État du gouvernement polonais, Marcin Bołecki. Les remarques de Madame Di Carlo confirment la gravité des faits. Alors que la Russie a procédé dans la nuit du 9 au 10 septembre dernier à une nouvelle attaque aérienne massive contre l'Ukraine, une vingtaine de ces drones se sont donc introduits en Pologne, détruisant au moins une habitation, provoquant la fermeture de 4 aéroports et atteignant jusqu'à la région de Gdansk, à plus de 700 km de la frontière ukrainienne. Tels sont les faits. Il s'agit là d'une action irresponsable et d'une nouvelle escalade de la part de la Russie dans le contexte de sa guerre d'agression contre l'Ukraine.